It's CashColorCannabis, a high level of conversation on live, hiphopdaily.tv. And this episode, as always, is brought to you by Cannabis Clothing. Stop by cannabisclothing.com and pick up something from our drug lord collection, Cannabis signature collection, or Return to the Viper collection. Head to the website right now and make your purchase. I'm going to get right to it because tonight's a different show. And shout out to my guest, my good friend, Hollywood. Most of y'all know her as Hollywood, but she's with Consulting Harris, a big consultant down here, big lobbyist, does big things. She actually got into a small accident, so I didn't want to push her to come through. We're gonna do that show next week. But I also told her, I said, no, don't worry. I got a whole topic I can do 20 minutes on with no issue. And before I get started, man, shout out to everybody at Live Hip Hop Daily, man. Shout out to Ear Hustling Podcast. They came through, man. Shout out to Players Den, too, who was right here prior to this, man. They was talking that basketball stuff. And I always want to jump in when they start talking hoops because I just know my shit. But I'm like, I ain't going to interrupt your show. Man. But shout out to everybody who came through, man. Also, shout out to Georgia Pine. Shout out to my girl, Candy Lady, man. Meek. Meek, and big shout out to Meek because Meek ain't never came through this spot without stuff. So after we get done with this, we're going to definitely sample some of her ices and some of her infused stuff that she brought out, man. So definitely shout out to you, man. But let me give y'all a little insight into what my last 2 weeks of my life has been. So for most of y'all, you should know, so aside from the podcast, that we recently released a magazine. So we do a quarterly magazine called CashColorCannabis Magazine. For y'all need to know any background about why this magazine exists, it all started when last August I was approached by a major cannabis outlet about coming to work on full time. And so I went through the whole interview process. I spoke with the recruiter, spoke with the vice president of the company. Then I had a whole meeting with the whole entire staff. We was all vibing, and I thought I was gonna get the gig. And time went on, and before you know it, me and my wife went to Jamaica for a trip. And I'm laying on the beach, and I get an email that's saying, "Yo, I think we're gonna go in another direction." Unbeknownst to them, while I was waiting there for 2 weeks, I was saying to myself, "Y'all was about to pay me 6 figures to come do all this shit, and this is all based on the fact that y'all was making hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads. Why don't I start my own magazine?" like why am I not doing CashColorCannabis magazine versus working for you people? No disrespect, I still would come work with y'all or work with y'all in some capacity, but also I felt the need that at this point, if I'm being pursued like this, maybe I should use my talent for myself at this point, man. So that's how we get to the magazine. Magazine's been great. We drop it every quarter. Our first issue went crazy. I don't know, man. I don't want to say I don't want to sound like I'm a youngster, but out here in these streets, man, I was doing numbers. You know what I'm saying? That first issue out there outside in these streets, man, I was running them up. And the same thing with the second issue. For those who are in Miami for Benzinga Conference, we had 500 issues of the magazine down there alone, and it was crazy. And then we get to the third issue, which I feel like so far is the most complete work we've done for the magazine. It really gives me a good vibe of where I want to take CashColorCannabis as far as subject matter, imagery, all that. The cover story is called Bud in Basketball, where we take a deep dive into the NBA's new decision to allow players to not just consume, but also to invest in cannabis. And I kind of wish Players Den was here, because I said this, when Jaylen Brown said what he wanted to do in Boston, I was telling her, if he just dropped $5 million on black cannabis businesses in Boston, that's generational wealth changing right there alone. So yeah, he actually does have the ability to do that, but that's a whole nother conversation. We also got into a good conversation with my girl Rochelle Gemini. Y'all might know her on Instagram, but she has a play called Waiting for the Plug. It's on Tubi right now. If you have not seen it, go to Tubi and type it in. She gave us an amazing Q&A. Thank you so much for that. We also spoke to my man Chris Alexander, Chris Alexander is the man who's actually shaping the New York cannabis market right now. For better or for worse, I know people are going to have comments about that, but he's the man who did it. He's from Queens. He's a huge Nas fan. I found out about that, too. Shout out to Nas. And we also did this piece about unionizing in cannabis. There's a big rush to have unions in cannabis for dispensary workers and just cannabis workers overall. Yada, yada, yada. Love this issue. So my editor drops off. I sent my shit over to my copy editor. She brought it back to me with all the fixes. We went back and forth correcting everything until we got the tone perfectly right. I send it over to my layout person. So this is where stumbling block 1 hits. I should have saw this coming from the beginning because I actually changed my layout person. The person who was doing it before, it wasn't like he was bad. I just felt like, we're still in the early enough stages that it was okay to change up the look a little bit and see what it looks like if we kind of came from a different perspective. And the person I reached out to, he was dope. He liked his qualifications. I liked the stuff he did prior to this. So I put it in his hands. The issue with him versus my other guy was my other guy has it done in 3 days. It took my other dude, this dude, close to 2 weeks. And that kind of threw off my whole schedule as far as having the magazine ready for the day it was supposed to be released. But if you have a print copy, you know this is beautiful. Like, he literally, yeah, you my new layout person. Like, this is amazingly beautiful. He did an amazing job. So he got the layout done. It was a little bit later. I had to email all my subscribers and everybody who paid money for a subscription, let them know it's going to be a little bit delayed. That's something you really should do when you talk about business, and that's like a little tidbit that's going to drop in somebody's ear who is a business person out here. Make sure you communicate with your customers. Like, a lot of times, and I can understand this feeling because I've been in business, in several different businesses my whole life. And one thing I used to always have an issue with was telling people bad news. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of us have that issue, but for real, people would much rather hear what's going on than know that you are ignoring them. That's what keeps somebody giving you money to do what you do versus somebody saying, I don't like the way they could have just said this and, you know, yada, yada, yada. So I let everybody know what's going on. I finally got the issue back. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I gave him mad praise. I also gave him a shit ton of, you know what I'm saying, because of how long it took. But we cool. He knows I'm going to go use him again. Finally get it over to the printer. The printer gets all the copies done. We don't get this back until yesterday. We don't get the prints back until yesterday. This is supposed to be out July 5th. We don't get the prints out until yesterday. But that's all good because in the meantime, I said for all the people who have supported Cash Color Cannabis, the podcast and the magazine, what I'm going to do is something that I went against my first thought anyway. I'm going to put everything online, and this issue right here is going to be free. Shout out to my boy Doom. I was just talking about the lack of freeness that I'm not feeling. I don't like people doing free. I feel like at some point you got to put some money down and make sure that you're supporting the thing that you're doing. So I was against putting it online for the longest. I don't even want to get into it. I actually have an artist, a big artist, who I want to have on the cover for the 4th issue. And me and his manager was going back on that because he was mad that I wasn't online. And I was like, you and your man should really understand what I'm doing. Like, I'm not putting it online because I don't want to have everybody thinking it's supposed to be for free. You should get the print copy first, and then later I might put this online. But because it was delayed, I said, let me go ahead and just start this whole process up, and I dropped everything online. So I had the first 2 issues for $5, but this one right here, this one I call the crown jewel of what we did, free. Free. I said, go ahead and just stream this. I said, until the print copies is ready. I don't care. The reception was good. People loved the stories. I was watching a lot of reposts. It was really, really, really dope. And a day before the print issues come, I get an email from Stripe. So let me give you all a little background if y'all know who Stripe is. Stripe is a payment processor, somewhat in the vein of PayPal. What they do is they'll actually do, like how Issue is the website that actually hosted the magazines. To make a payment, you had to go through Stripe. And Stripe takes Visa, American Express, MasterCard, remember this word, this name, MasterCard. Take MasterCard, Visa, Amex, Discover. They take everything. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you have, they take that, and they'll process that payment. That payment comes right to me. I get an email Monday morning. This is me fresh off my workout. I went and took 8, went and took me a little nap. I woke up, it's 11 o'clock. I grab my phone, and the first thing I see is this email from Stripe. Stripe now, at this point, I've had these issues on my magazine up on this website for a month and some change now. And I get this email saying these words: as of August 15th, we will no longer allow payments on your website due to the fact that you are promoting and selling illegal products. So I'm confused at this point. I'm like, what do you mean promoting and selling illegal products? Like, I've heard this term before, you know, ever since I started the podcast. You know this. Ever since I started the podcast, social media has been getting on me primarily for the name, Cash Color Cannabis. It's not nothing we actually do. It's just you see the name and immediately you go, something has to be fishy here. So I thought the same thing with them. So as I told you, I put my best Karen hat on. I jumped in this response button. They said, feel free to appeal. I said, I got an appeal for you. I said, first off, you're accusing me of promoting and selling illegal products. What is your proof of that? I have 3 issues, and I just now even taken advertising. So, I mean, where have you seen me actually promote and sell illegal products? No answer. So I said, all right, let me Karen it a little harder. I went to Twitter. Copy and pasted everything I said. Just dropped it on there. Waited a second. I got a couple of responses. But no. And this is a platform I think everybody in business needs to be on. LinkedIn. I go on LinkedIn and I drop this comment, I drop this post about what I'm going through with Stripe at this very moment. I got 35 responses. A bulk of those responses was giving me alternatives to Stripe. Other people were giving me their sob stories and stuff like that. One person in particular, he was telling me it's really a smooth process. He said it happened to him, takes about a couple of hours. So I said, you know what, bro, I'm gonna trust your word for this. I go back a second later and I realize on Twitter, they actually hit me up and say, yo, DM us. We're gonna see if we can fix this situation for you. That was my response. I was like, ha, ha, ha. That's my boy Joe, my cameraman, visual, shout out to Creative Visions. I had the Joe, ha, ha, ha voice, like, hey, we won. I DM these people, I say, yo, I give them my information. I say, yeah, go check into it because they saying I'm promoting and selling illicit products. I'm promoting and selling illicit nothing. They said we'll be right back at you within 2 days. So I'm thinking, all right, it's going to take a little second. I'm cool with that. I could rest. I ain't going to be pressed about the stuff. Oh, no, they got back within 20 minutes. They got back with 20 minutes. And when I say within 20 minutes, their stance was basically, nah, bro, we standing on this. You got to get up out of here by August 15th. We done. So my mind is all the way confused at this point. You have yet to prove what you said I did. That's a bold accusation that I have been for the last 3 quarters promoting and selling illicit products. That's a bold statement. Like if you just told me that out in the streets, we're gonna have a whole conversation. Like, don't you know what I'm saying? Where you got your information from? I ask you, not only do you not provide it, your sole response to me is deal with it. And this is where I have a whole problem with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Stripe, now MasterCard, because MasterCard, somebody actually told me, MasterCard is the reason why all this is happening. MasterCard last week just announced that they ain't taking no more payments from cannabis, nothings. Like, so they already pulled that plug. So they was like, that was probably the trickle down of what happened because I wasn't the only person that day, apparently, who got hit by Stripe. There was actually tons of people across this country in various different ways got hit with Stripe saying we ain't taking your payment, we ain't processing payments for you no more. So I'm like, all right, so y'all are deciding making these big decisions for people who are basically like myself, small businesses. Like I'm not a conglomerate. I'm nowhere close on the level of the company that tried to hire me. So, but you're telling me I can't take a payment. Y'all ain't gonna process no payments. None of that's gonna happen because of an accusation you can't prove. Hours before that, Issue charged me for my subscription. $64. Oh, it keeps going. I immediately cancel my subscription. So I get a response from them. Hey, can you tell us why you canceling your subscription? I said, I don't want y'all taking money from somebody who promotes or sells illegal products. Like, I don't want you to be guilty and be associated with me. I feel like that's not fair. So why if I can't take this money, why would you be able to take this money? What are you, I literally said this. Are you America, the website? Like y'all gonna beat me down for something illegal and then also take this money when you feel like it? That's not happening. I almost want to hit my card company and say, hey, I need a refund on that. They illegally took my money. I am out here promoting and selling illegal products. They have no business taking my $64. But yo, after all that and after the venting and after the ranting, I just came to a conclusion that, you know what, I'm not going to fight this the typical way. The best way I could fight this is with the pen and the pad. So I gathered up a ton of people who could actually speak real skillfully on this topic of what's going on in cannabis, where I'm watching people such as my man Joe Salome over at Georgia Hemp Company. He's lost like 6 or 7 accounts. This is a man with a legal business with multiple legal branches around this state. And he has lost at least, actually at this point, we in 2023, he might have lost more. But up until about 2019, 2020, I know it was about 6 that he has lost. So many people at this point are confused as to how to operate their businesses, because if I take cash, I'm putting myself in a bad situation. If I use Cash App, again, we putting yourself in a bad situation. Oh, people will deny, refund. You'll get your shit canceled real quick with Cash App. And I can't do something that makes sense when I'm selling a magazine. I can't just use Stripe because at any given moment, y'all can say again, I am promoting and selling illegal products. So at what point are y'all gonna make some sense of this industry? There's way too much money being made that y'all are still taking money for taxes, like I was saying with Issue. Y'all seem to want to take my money, but also tell me I can't make money. That don't make zero sense. That makes zero sense. And at some point, this is going to have to be a conversation. So I reached out to some of the people who jumped in my comments. I appreciate everybody in my circle, man, because they sent me some amazing people who helped even try to give me fixes in the middle. Again, shout out to my boy Joe with Georgia Hemp Company. He plugged me in with First Citizens Bank. First Citizens Bank actually allows hemp businesses to do business, to process their orders, to process their money. They allow that. So I have a meeting with them tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I actually got a couple of more recommendations. But I know how I'm going to move forward. But as far as just overall when it comes to having the magazine online. But also, we not letting this conversation go. I don't like the fact that y'all basically said that's that and just didn't say I don't even need to respond to you no more, as if you haven't been taking my money for the last 2 months. As if, you know what I'm saying? Like, as if you haven't happily took my money and then decided the last second I don't even need to respond to you. I've responded to people who have spent $10 with me when I knew that I was going to be late with something. You're telling me you can't even bother to respond to me with a reason why this happened. Bullshit. So what I'm going to do is bullshit. So yeah, me and my peoples, we're going to get together. We're going to do some good story. We're going to do a good story about this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to reach out to Stripe and I'm going to get a no comment. But we're going to have to get some kind of understanding about what's going on out here, because there's far too many people who are trying to operate in a space that is supposed to be a $1 billion company, a $1 billion industry in this country. You have the audacity to brag about how much each state is making. Y'all literally take taxes for this, but we are literally in peril because you can't use an actual bank. You can't have money in an actual bank. I can't use and I can't operate like a real business. You still want to treat this like this is an underground situation. Even for somebody such as myself, I don't touch the plant in any way, shape, or form. One of the main reasons why I even pulled back from letting people smoke on the show is because of that reason. YouTube, the minute they see a blunt come out, you are now promoting or selling illegal products. So when I've had these arguments with plenty of vendors and people who are come on and smoke, bro, I'm not trying to mute you. I'm trying to keep you safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to give you some real game. The minute you do this, they're gonna call you this, and then they're gonna shut all this down. Period. So I understand right now y'all are trying to figure out the best way to take money and also limit people at the same time. I'm not that person. I'm not going to stay quiet about this. I'm going to make sure we're going to shake as many tables as possible. If they give me a platform at MJ Biz ever, if they ever give me an award, I'm getting on stage and I'm saying this, fuck Stripe. Everybody in this room should get me. Y'all have all had issues with processors. I'm not being a militant right now. This is for us. That at some point somebody should start shaking this table about this. And I'm not saying I'm the first person. There's been plenty of people who've been upset about this. I realized myself when I was going through the comments, how many people, especially people of color, that's the thing that really grinded my gears. Because I told Herb at one point, I was like, I can't remember the name of the documentary. It was like, I remember watching this documentary on Netflix where they discussed how certain algorithms target us versus other people. Because I know a couple people in my comments was telling me, you know, of a not of our shade, said, oh, it was fairly easy. I got right back on in a second. So I'm like, how you get right back on in a second and we doing the exact same thing? And they telling me, nah, straight up. Not even want to argue with it. And everybody who looked like me had the same story. That it wasn't even a discussion. They just shut it down and said, we done. So we're going to start having a discussion on our own to the point where y'all start opening up and start having this discussion. And I'm also going to end with this point, too. There's going to be a time when y'all legally take this money. MasterCard, Stripes, all these platforms are going to start saying, we will now take money from cannabis businesses. Come on over here and open your bank accounts. I want every one of you who ever shut down somebody's account, whoever closed somebody's money up like they did me on a whim, before you start taking money and start telling us we can do business with you, apologize to the people that you shut down. Apologize to the people whose businesses you stopped. Because again, we're not going to have America the industry. Like we're going to start something new. Don't rip off a Band-Aid and say, okay, now it's okay, we can all make this money without you ever acknowledging that you stopped a shit ton of people from getting the dollar because you just couldn't figure out how to take it from them in a proper way. Out of here with that, man. So that was my issue with Stripe. Stripe, we still got beef. Like literally, the name of this episode is gonna be on site. Like we still got beef. Like this ain't stopping. Cause I swear to goodness, that's what's gonna happen. We gonna look down the road next year, next whatever, and you're gonna hear all these platforms say, now this is what we do. And I'm gonna be the first person in the room. I don't care how they want to say that he's gonna be that guy. When y'all gonna apologize to everybody who y'all shut down? Don't you feel like that's needed? You smiling in my face saying I can open an account where now you can take interest and take all kind of other stuff. Before you get giddy, say sorry to all these people who are doing this what they said the right way, and you just said, nah, we. And that was that. Everybody who got the same email and the same response I got. It's not fair. Facebook does it. Instagram does it. How many people we know out here who've lost page after page after page? I watch people now. They type cannabis online. You got to use ampersigns. You got to use X's. There is porn on your website. In your timeline. There is spam bots in my DMs right now, and your issue is me typing cannabis? Like, come the hell on, man. Like, and at that, yeah, come the hell on. Why am I gonna X out cannabis because I don't want to upset your algorithm, but again, I got a DM full of chicks saying, yo, you want to see more? Hit this link. Yeah, y'all ain't put a single second into thought of stopping any of this. But if I type cannabis, like I say, I know I'm getting shadow banned. I don't even play no more. I'm not playing y'all games. Instagram's tried to monetize me several times. I say keep it. Y'all gave me $56 and then shut my account down. Keep it. It's not helping my life. I don't care how many times you alert me that I'm eligible. It's not helping anything in my life. There's nothing y'all are going to help with this situation other than make it more complicated for me to do what I already do. So Stripe, 2 fingers up. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if there'll ever be a truce, to be completely honest with you. The only truce we're going to hear is when you get on a platform like Twitter or get on live or something and basically announce, yo, we made major mistakes. Same thing with Facebook, with Instagram. For all the people who had to redo accounts, for all the people who got in their bio, this is my 9th account, y'all need to apologize to them first before you start making these announcements of, okay, so here we are now. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Before we start yelling reparations, give it to us. Before we start yelling for it, just give it to us. You made huge decisions based on really small things, and it impacted people's lives in a whole lot of ways. So yeah, I got beef with Stripe. We're going to keep having beef. I'm going to be successful anyway, and I'm going to still say fuck y'all. I'm doing it for us, baby. On site. I'm doing it for us. So that's this episode. Next week, I'm going to have my girl Hollywood on here, and I'm going to try to tone it down a little bit, but I know her, too. She's a little feisty. We're going to talk about all this. But thank you also, Hollywood. She introduced me to the woman I'm going to speak to tomorrow at First Citizens Bank. And I might open up a bank account over there. At least y'all are being friendly and openly saying in your actual... No. Why keep... Somebody else just said that, too. Let me make sure I'm saying the right place. First Citizens Bank. Pardon me, y'all, because I just want to make sure I'm saying the right place, because that's the second time somebody said, ain't the black one. I'm thinking, ain't you talking about the one with Killer Mike in them? And I'm not sure if that's a bank. Yeah, I'm not sure that's even a bank. Hold on. No, you think the Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank is a black-owned bank. I think it's Citizens as a black-owned. Business banker at, hold on. Yeah, it's First Citizens Bank. Yeah, the person I'm having a conversation with tomorrow is First Citizens Bank. So I may, do some work with them. But again, shout out to Hollywood for introducing me in the first place. Shout out to Joe for connecting it as well. There's going to be some resolutions. We're definitely going to figure out, all of us, as far as in cannabis, we're going to figure out how to be able to safely make money without putting ourselves in immense danger by taking cash all the time for something. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to figure it out. And eventually we're going to make these institutions apologize before they ever say, now we can take your money and tax you more and get interest and do all this stuff. Apologize first, please. Like, please take me out to dinner before you fuck me. Something. Don't just walk up in here, you know what I'm saying, unzipping your pants. Like, tell me what you about to do first. Razzle dazzle the kid. So anyway, man, tune in next week. We definitely gonna have my girl here, Hollywood. And this month is gonna be packed with some dope guests. Matter of fact, I can't wait for my boy. I can't wait for my boy Christian Wildsmith to come back. Attorney Christian Wildsmith. We're gonna be talking about some of these laws out here in Atlanta that people seem to get constantly confused. And hopefully, we're gonna be able to keep some people out of jail. That's another place that loves to make money off us while saying a whole nother thing. So, thank y'all for listening to my rant. Hopefully, I didn't rant too long on y'all. If you work with Stripe, I don't know, man. I feel how I feel. I feel how I feel. If you work for them and you get a check, congratulations. I feel how I personally feel. Y'all have a good night. Cash Color Campus is a high level of conversation on livehip-hopdaily.tv.